Hi, I'm Lisa from Awana Parent Stuff, and I hate to fly. If I'm honest, I'm scared to fly. This wasn't always the case. When I was little, I loved to have the window seat and watch takeoff and landing. Somehow, as I've gotten older, though, that's changed. Takeoff and landing are the worst for me, but I'm kind of a wreck the whole flight. There's something I do that sometimes helps. I think about the fact that by entering the airplane and buckling in, I've surrendered control. From this point forward in the flight, it doesn't matter whether I'm calm and relaxed or anxious and tense. I have this delusion, though, that if I'm tense enough, I can make sure that the flight arrives safely. When I can truly own my lack of control, I have a much better flight experience. Sometimes I even open my hands on my lap as a sign of surrender and acknowledgement of this fact. Usually that helps me and I feel a little less anxious. Sometimes that just doesn't work, though. Recently I flew to visit family over the holidays, and coming home we were trailing a huge storm, which meant lots of turbulence. I spent the 2-hour flight repeating in my head, I can't wait until this is over. I can tell you that this really doesn't help the flight go more quickly or more smoothly. In these two ways, flying is very much like parenting for me. I think I somehow have control, and I have seasons where I keep repeating, I wish this was over. Neither is very helpful in flying or in parenting. I find it really hard to surrender and be open-handed when it comes to parenting. I feel pressure and anxiety to figure it all out. When my kids were younger, I worried about shots. Should they get vaccines or not? I even volunteered in our church's 2-year-old Sunday school for a while, not because I just love 2-year-olds, but I wanted to make sure my church was doing church right for my kids. Even though my kids are now teenagers, I still worry about doing the right things for my kids so that they'll know Jesus, eat healthy food, find a calling in their vocation. The list goes on, right? I'm exhausted just thinking about all the things I can worry about and try and control as I'm raising my kids. And it's not just the big things. I love dressing my kids when they were babies. But when my son was 2, he got a pair of bright yellow rain boots. And he decided that he loved yellow rain boots and had to wear them every day. And I mean every day. I'm really not exaggerating. I have the year pictures to prove it. I really didn't find that rain boots went with every single thing I wanted him to wear. But I quickly learned to be open-handed about the boots because it just wasn't worth the fight. It was the first of many times that Ian wanted to express his own personality and preferences. I believe God created each of my kids uniquely, and being open-handed allows them to express who God made them to be. Maybe for you it's not a fear of flying, but maybe there is something else that you're irrationally afraid of and having trouble surrendering to God. I don't think I'm alone in having trouble with this when it comes to parenting. On my recent flight, God spoke so clearly to me that I needed to once again release control of my family to Him. I can work to steward the time I have with my kids well, but their journey is between them and God. Here's another confession. I love sleep a lot. That made the years of limited sleep when my kids were really little hard for me. I had a lot of moments when I repeated that turbulence mantra, I can't wait for this to be over. Moms further ahead in this parenting thing reassured me that someday I'd sleep again, so I felt confident that it would be over at some point. But parenting young kids was not my favorite time of parenting. I've enjoyed my kids more and more the older they get. I know that's not the case for every parent. We're all different. I will say, though, that just as on the plane, it didn't really help me to tell myself that I couldn't wait for a specific season in my kids' lives to be over. I think there are ways to be content and present in every season. For me, that is having people around me to remind me of the relationship I want to have with God and with my kids. If I'm living isolated, I can start repeating, I can't wait for this to be over, and not even realize I'm doing it. I think in every season, God has something He wants to teach us. For me, that is usually surrender and be present. The exact opposite of be in control and I can't wait for this to be over.